Awakening is pure immediacy and unconditional. There are no preconditions to awakening. That would mean that something would have to happen in time to lead to somewhere else, to lead to a different state. But what we're talking about is what's already here, right now. We're talking about something that's prior to the appearance of time, prior to the appearance of any state, the aware spaciousness that all states appear in and as, the awareness that's always present, the presence that's always present. It's pure immediacy, it's unconditional. And if there were any conditions to it, it would mean that you have to do something in time to achieve a different state, to get to something that's not already here. But if someone told you about something that's already here, or if some situation woke you up to what's already here, it wouldn't mean that it was conditional on that person or situation to wake you up to it. It was always here, you were just overlooking it. And something that's already here, purely immediate and without conditions, is not something that you can have any process to move towards and get closer to. There's no progression. There's just people and things in your world pointing to it over and over again, except they often have a challenge pointing to it. After all, how can you get outside of everything to point back at it? How can the content appearing on a screen point to the screen? It's everywhere. It permeates everything. And after all, it is everything. It gives all things their appearance. It's the awareness, the presence, the spaciousness in which your whole life unfolds in and as. It's pure immediacy, and it's unconditional. It might appear that a teacher or guide had to tell you about it, or you had to read it in a book, or go to some kind of retreat or glorious walk in the forest or the mountains. It might appear that something had to happen in time, but afterwards it's realized that what was being moved towards was already here. Pure immediacy and unconditional. What was being moved towards in time is prior to time. It's timeless. It's already this. It's purely immediate. It's realized that this is what you were seeking the whole time, that you are the peace that you're looking for. You are the contentment you're looking for. You return home only to find out that you never really left in the first place. You were seeking God in everything else out there in the apparent external world, perhaps in spirituality, psychedelic or transcendent experiences. And yet, it was when you looked at yourself, you found him there within and without and as everything. It doesn't mean that your life situation is perfect or even desirable. It doesn't mean that you don't have learning, healing, growing, and evolving to do. It doesn't mean that the way you're feeling is perfect. There may be some emotional processing that needs to happen for you to fully feel calm and peaceful on the level of the body and the mind. Awakening is here in the midst of disturbances, in the midst of circumstances, which means that peace is here in the midst of disturbances and even in the most challenging of circumstances. It's the space that the disturbance appears within, the stillness underneath the form, and it's instantly accessible. It's pure immediacy and it's unconditional. Sometimes in life, a particular person or situation triggers a strong, uncomfortable feeling in the body. Something happens in life, and this feeling arises, it's physically felt in the body, and then it fuels all these negative thoughts about the situation. And if you identify with those thoughts, it has you view the situation and the world through this negative lens. It fuels your thinking and then your behavior, and then you create a reality in line with that. But what if you were to zoom out from the thinking and feeling? What if you were to give some attention to the space around the thinking and feeling? Withdraw from the fear story. Withdraw from the story about being this person who's in opposition to other people and the world. Withdraw from the story that you're a separate, limited entity trying to figure it all out and desperately trying not to get it wrong. What if you were to instead zoom out from all of that and witness this all that isness that's present right here, right now, not just the stories about the future or the references to the past, but the pure unconditional immediacy of now. Because awakening is pure immediacy and unconditional. Awakening from the dream of thought to the reality of now. Awakening from the dream of temporary form to the ever-present stillness and isness that pervades all form, all-encompassing, all-pervasive, unshakable, undisturbable. This is you at your foundation. Awakening to your true self beyond the temporary appearance of the body and the mind, but not rejecting the body and the mind, cultivating the ability to care for, grow and evolve the body and the mind from knowing yourself as ultimately beyond them, as the consciousness that birthed them, the consciousness that's beyond birth and death, the consciousness that's never born and will never die. It's always present. It's always been present, and it always will be present. It's the presence. It's pure immediacy and completely unconditional. Evolution happens in time, healing happens in time, and even awakening appears to happen in time, but what's being awakened to is unconditional and beyond time. It's timeless. Now there may be something that awakening looks like in time to a separate observer. Maybe someone goes to a teacher, a guide, watches a YouTube video, reads a book, or goes to a Zoom call, and at some point something seems to click. But was it some kind of new knowledge that was imparted? Was it some new piece of information that finally made sense? A final piece of the puzzle? The final step of a mountain climbed and a long journey? The final step in an awakening process? Or was it just that a situation or person was good at pointing out what's already here? Could it be that awakening is actually the end of seeking? Could it be, rather than being the last step in a process, it's the first step in embodying and living who you truly are? What if awakening is just the beginning? What if now your healing and evolution can finally happen from the knowledge of who you truly are? And what if awakening to the ever-present consciousness that you are, and this pure immediacy that is the perfect foundation for navigating everything that happens on the level of the person and in the world? Because no longer are you doing it to make yourself something, make something of yourself, prove yourself to someone or yourself. No longer are you a slave to a sense of self in the mind that always needs adding on to bolster its sense of identity and keep its sense of self going. No longer are you a slave to concepts of yourself in your mind that aren't really who you are. Maybe the sense of being a separate, limited entity comes back. Maybe situations trigger a heavy person identity in the mind, and then once again it feels like life and feelings are happening to you. But you keep one foot in the door, as it were. You stay connected to who you really are, and you know that ultimately you can't really connect to it because you already are it. You just need to keep remembering that you already are. Don't forget yourself for an idea of yourself in the mind. Use those ideas of yourself to create a new reality. Align your human level self with the type of human you want to be and the conscious values that you want to embody. A human that knows their humanity but also knows their infinity. Embody the truth of who you are on the level of the body and mind, because you can only do your best on the human level, and so do your best and let God or the universe or whatever else you want to call it do the rest. And that concludes the video. In the description there is a link to speaktoalex.com where you can apply to speak to me or one of my team about whether you'd be a good fit for the Awaken Aware program. That's speaktoalex.com, and there's also a link to a free guided breathwork meditation that I made for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace and blessings. See you in the next one. Love you all. Peace.